Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. We are previewing the T20I series to be played between India and West Indies. The first game will be played in Trinidad at the Tarouba Stadium. No international match in men's cricket has been played here. We've seen matches played here in the CPL. But yes, that's where the first of this T20I series, the first match will be played. India versus West Indies. India's big guns have returned. Rohit Sharma will be captaining the side. He's back. There is Hardik Pandya, who's returned to the side. Rishabh Pant is there. Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Harshal Patel. It's your core team, except Virat Kohli and Jasprit Bumrah. These two players they've been rested. We'll talk about all of that, what we can expect. But this now, every series, every T20I international from here on is about India and them trying to figure out what their best T20I squad would be for the World Cup. World Cup, remember, is just less than 3 months away. Nikhil Narayan's here with me. And if you are just seeing me fumble through my introduction, that's because history is being made at the Commonwealth Games, and I'm excited about this because Indian women's cricket team are taking on Australia in their group match. India won the toss. They've opted to bat first. There are some big names from both sides. Australia, the heavyweights, the giants of women's cricket, but India have beaten them. In fact, in a World Cup, they lost to them in the final as well, but in the group stages did win against Australia. So, you know, you can expect some thrilling action. It starts in, 3 minutes from now, but a huge moment really for women's cricket that being included in the Commonwealth Games. And for all of you who are following or who will be following the Commonwealth Games, News9 Sports is where you need to get to because we'll be covering it extensively. We have a show lined up for you for Commonwealth Games that is at 6 p.m. today, and you can see the wonderful, wonderful PV Sindhu, two-time Olympic medalist. She's there with Manpreet Singh, the Indian hockey captain, both of them flag bearers at the opening ceremony. So this is going to be big, and we'll be covering it extensively. Okay, now coming back to the T20I series. Nikhil, India, we know, are trying out different things before the World Cup. So Rohit Sharma and the big guns are back. Things are not going to be easy for West Indies, but there are two things that are working for them. One being that they actually did very well in the ODIs. Not much was expected out of them. They weren't being able to bat out 50 overs. So in that sense, 2 matches, very close affairs. Right. And on top of that, T20I is a format that West Indies are best at. So in that sense, we can get a very competitive series between India and West Indies.
Yeah, I mean, I think West Indies played well in the ODI, at least the first two where they challenged India. I think it will be a tougher assignment, these 5 T20Is for India than the ODI leg. West Indies, you know, are an erratic T20I side. The format suits them the most. They don't do that well in bilaterals, but suddenly in the big tournaments, they suddenly do well. And therefore, they won 2 World T20s. So, West Indies is going to challenge India. They don't have some of their big names, but they have two, you know, two players who I'm looking forward to who can damage India, are Shimron Hetmyer and Nicholas Pooran. Yes. But overall, I think India start favourites, Meha, because, you know, India's record just in these bilateral series is just stunning. You know, won 12 of the 15 bilateral series last this year, 5 out of 6. The South Africa series was just 2-2 draw. Beat England 2-1. England were favourites at home. West Indies are ranked 7. India is ranked 1. So India start favourites. India is by far the best T20I side, notwithstanding their performance in the World T20 last year.
Which then brings me to the next question. And this is a question I think a lot of people would be asking, that despite how well India have done in the bilateral series, and some of those numbers are since August 2019, before the T20 World Cup. So they've been winning bilateral series. But when it comes to World Cups, what seems to go wrong? Again, India looking very good, but do they have that side that can just go out there and demolish opponents at the World Cup?
See, they have the side.
And I know, and of course, T20, the format being fickle.
The format being fickle is one. They have a very good side. I like India's lower order. The problem, I think, is now with the top 3. With Rohit Sharma not in prime form, Virat Kohli not scoring runs, and given that Virat Kohli will definitely play at number 3, all indications are that the top experts are saying he's going to play at 3 come what may, and also KL Rahul not being a part of the 11 for a while due to injury. He's an IPL run machine. He's brilliant for India in T20Is, but he's not played competitive cricket for the last 2 or 3 months. So top 3 is worrying me a bit unless India surprise us and pick in-form players like Deepak Hooda. I'm a bit worried. 4, 5, 6, 7, I think India is the best in the world. With Surya, with Hardik, with Jadeja, Dinesh, Rishabh Pant. I think India are the best in the world. But 1, 2, 3, unless Rohit gives us back his 2-0-2-1, T20I form, India could be in trouble.
That's right. That's what we were discussing, in fact, is that top 3. Rohit Sharma himself in this year, 9 matches he's played, averages around 20, strike rate of 129, way lower than what it was last year of 150 plus. So Rohit Sharma also hasn't been in that form that we're used to seeing him in. KL Rahul has been sitting out for a while, so when he comes back and gets an opportunity, he needs to get runs, because you need that cushion from at least one player out of the top 3 who should be in form, for India to have a chance at winning the T20 World Cup trophy. But the template has been set. It is the aggressive template. It is it's the OG template these days. Everybody wants to be aggressive. Everybody wants to be attacking. They want to just hit every ball out of the park. Rohit Sharma said this as he took over captaincy very clearly, that that's the kind of template we want to set for this team. And they've done that, and they've done it well. Because very often, Nikhil, what happens is that when you're trying to do something new, when things don't go your way, you might fall back on, oh, you know what, this is not working for us. My sense is that they're very clear this is how we want to go forward, and they've stuck to it, and it has worked for the Indian team.
It has worked, and it is the only way they can beat top teams like England consistently, and Rohit Sharma realizes that this is a template they adopted post the World T20. And if you see the run rate starting from the New Zealand series, they've consistently been around 8.5, 9. Whereas earlier it was between 7.5, 8 in the power play, India's run rate in the power play.
Correct.
Also, there's a significant rise in India's run rate overall and in the power play from 2021 to 2022. Not only that, there is a massive rise in India's run rate in the middle overs, and India's overall run rate, Meha, also is around 9.45 if I'm not mistaken this year, which is the highest for any team. It's also the highest for India in any calendar year where they've at least played 5 matches. So India is focusing on run rate at the cost of, let's say, losing 1 or 2 more wickets. Earlier, India's policy in both 50 overs and T20 was you conserve wickets and accelerate at the death. They've changed it. So they're not holding back on resources. They're going after the runs at the cost of losing wickets. Very different mindset.
The value of your wicket is lesser than the strike rate, and that's how India is approaching the T20I template, and which is what they want to do even in ODIs eventually. And I think with T20Is, they've started it in that way. Okay, let's also talk about some of those questions that we need answers to. One being that in the series against England, Rishabh Pant opened, even if it was for 2 matches. The fact that they want to put Rishabh Pant in somewhere, the fact that Rishabh Pant wasn't getting you runs at the strike rate that you would have wanted from someone like Rishabh Pant in the middle order, they decided to put him right at the top. Now, he was given 2 opportunities. 2 matches is what he played. In England, one he scored 26 at a good strike rate, and the other one
scored 1.
So, which means that they are going to continue with Rishabh Pant opening, because there's no sense doing that for just 2 matches not carrying on. So they are going to do it in this T20I series. But what this also tells us, Nikhil, is that they also know that they need somebody explosive at the top of the order.
They need that, and see, there are 2 things here. They need someone explosive at the top of the order, and also they need to include Rishabh Pant, or they want to include Rishabh Pant because of what he's done in the other 2 formats, especially in Test cricket and the recent 100 in England in ODI cricket. So they know if Rishabh Pant starts performing in T20Is like he's done in other formats, he will win you matches single-handedly, and they can't let that go. Although his performance in T20Is, and it's not a small sample size, Meha, 44 innings he has played, it's a large enough sample size, is very poor. Any other batsman would have been dropped by now. His strike rate is what, 124? The average is poor. There are such 4 or 5 high impact knocks in 44 innings. That is very, very poor. 1 in 10. He's failed in 5 of 9 innings in 2022. So he's not done well in T20I. Still they are persisting with him because of what he offers in the other formats and also what he's done in the IPL before for Delhi Capitals. Not the last couple of seasons, but in 2017-18. He was phenomenal, scoring big runs at a high strike rate. So they want to harness Rishabh Pant. They need Rishabh Pant in the 11, and therefore they will give him as many chances as possible. If he still fails and Dinesh Karthik does well in the lower order, then they have a big problem then.
Yeah, which then brings me to Dinesh Karthik as well. But should we talk about Suryakumar Yadav before that? Because
the batting order? Let's go by the batting order.
Let's go by the batting order. Okay, let's talk about Suryakumar Yadav. Now, if there is one man who gives you this hope of things will go okay at the World Cup, that's Suryakumar Yadav. In tremendous form, just improved as a T20 player. We've seen how well he can bat. 117 of 55 deliveries against England. An absolutely incredible knock. We all remember it. But Suryakumar Yadav and his performance from here on becomes very important because it's him who's holding that middle order together, especially if your top order is not getting runs.
Absolutely. Suryakumar Yadav is what a T20 batsman should be. He comes out in difficult situations or any situation and he plays. He doesn't hold back. And when you look at him bat, he exudes confidence. Not that he'll get out. He will score runs and he'll score them at a very high strike rate. He does exactly what AB did consistently for South Africa and for RCB. Not what Virat Kohli did. Virat Kohli first accumulated runs, but AB did. And also the stroke play all around the wicket. 360 degrees player, great stroke maker in the form of his life. Suryakumar Yadav, that trend bridge century, the series against England player of the series. His career changed from 2020 in the IPL for Mumbai Indians. Till then, he used to score at 130, 135. Suddenly, something happened in 2020 for MI. He decided to up the ante. He scored 400 plus runs, but I think at a strike rate of 145. Since then, his strike rate has been in the 140s. Although he hasn't scored as many runs, but he's focused on his strike rate.
He's spoken about this in one of the interviews that I was listening to, where he said that he worked on his batting in a big way. He knew which were the areas that he lacked in. He also talked about how the game is changing, how the bowlers are now bowling in T20 cricket, and how you need to not just adapt, but also, be on top of what the bowler is thinking and react before the bowler bowls. And I think that's one of the reasons why things have completely changed for him. Worked tremendously hard on his game, and we can see that in the way he's batting. But then that also brings me to the next question of your number 3, the big question that the world will be asking till the Indian team flies to Australia for the World Cup. I think that's one question, and even till the first game. Hopefully Virat Kohli, when he comes back, gets runs in Asia Cup, because at the moment the sense one gets is that team management is of course very sure of Virat Kohli being their number 3 for the T20 World Cup, right? But these 5 T20 internationals, Deepak Hooda gets an opportunity and ends up scoring runs at a good strike rate. Things are going to get so difficult.
The chances of which are very high. If he gets an opportunity, the chances of him doing well in 3 out of the 5 matches is very high, which is good enough. So, I don't know. This is a big dilemma for the Indian team. Do we go in with an in-form batting all-rounder who's done brilliantly in this season's IPL, who's also proven himself for India in the limited opportunities, or with an out-of-form all-time great who's probably the greatest batsman in ODIs and T20s combined in the history of those 2 formats. And this is not an easy choice. This is a tough choice. There are arguments on both sides. I think India is going to persist with Virat Kohli until he fails in one World T20 match. I hope it's not against Pakistan.
The other thing for all of you who are watching, and you can put in your comments if you think you agree with what I'm saying, and you can also agree to disagree. Put your comments if you disagree. But the thing that stands out for me is that Virat Kohli put a tweet out on Star Sports saying that I will give it my all for the Asia Cup and the T20 World Cup. Now, what some people were suggesting before he took rest from this ODI and T20 series against the West Indies was that the Virat Kohli that they know, or they've come to know, is somebody who, if he wants to prepare for the World Cup, will never miss out on a series this close to the World Cup,
Correct.
especially when he's out of form.
Right.
But Virat Kohli, on that Twitter message, made it very clear that he wants to play the T20 World Cup and the Asia Cup, and also that, you know, there were also these rumors that maybe he'll probably just himself not want to put his hand up and say, I want to be part of this squad. So now this is very clear that Virat Kohli has said, I'm going to play Asia Cup, I'm going to be there for the World Cup, and I'll do whatever it takes. But the chances from here are less and less.
Correct.
So the chances for him to even get back to form are much lesser. So things are not going to be easy. But that's about Virat Kohli. We're not going to talk anymore. If you want to put some comments about what you think India would be looking to do before the World Cup, do let us know in the comment section. Now, the other big question that I want to ask, that I was asking you before the show began, was about Dinesh Karthik. Dinesh Karthik was incredible in the way he finished matches for Royal Challengers Bangalore. Single-handedly, there were 4 to 5 huge, big impact innings where
Right.
he won those games for RCB.
Yeah.
But Dinesh Karthik in the
T20Is,
internationals, T20Is, hasn't been that impactful.
He hasn't been, yeah.
When you see his numbers, and those numbers are going to come up on your screens, and Nikhil will take us through that. But the thing that stands out for me is, Nikhil, things are not going to be easy for Dinesh Karthik from here on. I mean, there will always be somebody or the other. I feel like the choice will come down to Dinesh Karthik versus Rishabh Pant.
Absolutely.
And, you know, India will want to stick with Rishabh Pant if Dinesh Karthik is not finishing matches like he's done in the IPL. So he needs to perform in this series as well.
Big series for Dinesh Karthik for the reasons you have mentioned. He needs to perform for India. Whatever he's done in, for RCB in this season's IPL has, given him a chance to play for India. But now he has to prove himself for India to play the World T20 consistently. Given that he is being now directly pit with Rishabh Pant, not for maybe the same batting positions, but there is, I don't think Rishabh Pant and Dinesh Karthik can both play in the playing 11. If you see his numbers, 330 runs in 16 innings in the IPL, only 126 runs in 9 innings for India this year. So look at the difference in averages. There's a massive, the average in the IPL was double, 2.5 times than his average for India in T20. Look at the difference in strike rate, 183 in the IPL, Meya, only 134 for India. Batting low down the order, a strike rate of 134 is poor. Also, strike rate first 10 balls. This is very important because he plays the role of a specialist death overs hitter. So, which means he's coming out to bat mostly between overs 17 to 20. You cannot have, last 3 to 4 overs, you cannot have a strike rate of 81.36 in the first 10 balls if you're batting as a specialist between overs 17 to 20. It was 167 in the IPL. Also see the high impact knocks, 6 of 16 innings in the IPL, and hardly any, I think two high impact knocks in T20Is this year in 9 innings.
2
so,
out of 9.
2 out of 9. So, Dinesh Karthik, the T20I batsman, hasn't been completely able to replicate what he did for RCB in the IPL. And therefore, this series becomes very important for him, given he's in direct competition with Rishabh Pant for a place in the 11.
I mean, this is how it is. Some people just get longer rope for their place in the the team, but with Dinesh Karthik, I feel like his performance has to be consistent for him to be on that flight to Australia. Okay, then let's talk about India's bowling attack. Now, Jasprit Bumrah, of course, has been sensational in all 3 formats. But what we've seen in this year is the re-emergence, really, or resurgence, in a sense, of Bhuvneshwar Kumar. And that augurs well for Indian cricket. That augurs well for this team as they look ahead to the T20 World Cup. Because when Bhuvneshwar Kumar finds a swing, which he has found, we saw that in England, it'll be brilliant for the Indian team. And we've seen how good he's been, Nikhil, this year. I think he's got the best economy this year for bowlers who played more than 5 matches. Jasprit Bumrah, interestingly, has only played 3 T20Is this year.
He's been rested essentially. Bhuvneshwar Kumar has done brilliantly for India in limited overs, both 50 overs and 20 overs. Since 2020 especially, since the start of 2021 in a period where Jasprit Bumrah struggled to pick wickets with the new ball. Yeah. And that is essential for India, not only in T20 cricket but in 50 overs. If you see his performance against England, he was very impressive in the power play. Overall, if you see 29 wickets at a strike rate of 16.8 since 2021 in T20 Is, it's absolutely phenomenal. Economy rate of just 6.5 around that since 2021, an economy rate of just 5.5 in the power play, 16 wickets in the power play, second highest after Josh Hazlewood. So what he's doing is, not only is he now not conceding runs in the power play like he did before also in his career, he's also picking wickets. Yeah. And denting the opposition early and in big matches, picking up big crucial opposition wickets. Yeah. So Bhuvneshwar Kumar currently for me is India's #1 bowler, especially in conditions which may offer some swing or seam. Australia may not actually. Australia may not, but still I think Bhuvneshwar Kumar will form a formidable duo with Jasprit Bumrah with the new ball.
Okay, now for all of you who want to follow women's cricket as well, India are playing Australia at Edgbaston in Birmingham in the Commonwealth Games. It's their group, the first match of the Commonwealth Games, and India have lost Smriti Mandhana, who actually got off to a brilliant start, 24 of 17 balls. And in fact, I was just going to inform our viewers that she's batting well. She was hitting, I mean, there were 2 back-to-back fours in the over earlier, but she's been dismissed. Shefali Verma and Yastika Bhatia at the crease, 25 for 1 after 4 overs. Hopefully, Shefali Verma, and she's been in tremendous form. She can steady this for the Indian team. But okay, just coming back to, excuse me, India's new ball attack, and I think I'll agree with you with Jasprit Bumrah not being in. That was one of the things we talked about, not just in T20Is, even in ODIs, with Jasprit Bumrah's struggle in the power plays to get wickets. So we've seen that change for him, as well as Bhuvneshwar Kumar's re-emergence of sorts. Okay, then let's talk about West Indies. Good news for them, one being that they've actually batted well in the ODI series, given that people were saying, West Indies, they won't be even able to bat out 50 overs. They batted well. But they've also got Shimron Hetmyer, who was in incredible form. If you all remember, Rajasthan Royals, how good was he as their death overs finisher? I think he was number 3 on that list of maximum number of runs in the death overs at a strike rate of over 200. The competition was between Dinesh Karthik, Shimron Hetmyer, and
there was a third one.
There was a third one, but we'll forget. So much cricket happening. There is...
there was Tewatia also, but there was someone else also.
There was somebody else, which I'm completely missing the name of. But Shimron Hetmyer, he has proved his fitness. Again, his fitness test is done, so he's fit and fine, and he will be in the side along with Nicholas Pooran, who has been the standout performer with the bat.
Absolutely. Shimron Hetmyer, interestingly, Meha, though, hasn't played any single T20I for West Indies this year, but they are banking on his performance in the IPL. And the IPL, as you rightly mentioned, he was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the sheer number of runs he scored at the strike rate, death overs, and before the IPL started, we had sort of predicted that Nicholas Pooran might do better than Shimron Hetmyer. And why is Shimron Hetmyer been given such a high price in the auctions? But we were proven wrong. Shimron Hetmyer, his strike rate was above 200 in the death overs in the IPL. The only problem for Hetmyer being that he hasn't played any competitive cricket for the last 2 or 3 months. He hasn't played any T20Is this year. But still, he is a class player in T20Is. Nicholas Pooran, on the other hand, has been in good form for West Indies in T20Is this year, scoring 400 plus runs at a good strike rate. He had a decent IPL. He is a class player who can win matches single-handedly. For me, he'll be the X factor for the West Indies.
Okay, now if all of you are wondering what is this stadium, the Brian Lara Stadium in Tarouba, Nikhil will give us all the deets on that. It is hosted with 31 CPL matches. No international matches have been hosted here. But interestingly, the average first team batting for a score is 141, which means that it's not a very flat surface.
It's a run rate of 7. Yeah, run rate of such 7. Not a very easy batting surface. So don't expect a high-scoring match. Also, rain is predicted, unfortunately. So, 80% chance of rain. It may play spoil sport, so you may see a reduced match. But overall, I think it will be one of those, it could be an interesting match though, but we could be in for a low-scoring thriller, especially if it's a rain-affected match. Yeah, go on.
No, sorry, I'm sorry to cut you short. I know this is, I completely forgot about Ashwin. So, Yuzvendra Chahal's rested from the T20Is. Ravichandran Ashwin, he is going to be playing this series, and that's what is interesting, that he hasn't played for a while, since the last World Cup, I think. And he has been brought into the shortest format, and I'm wondering what the team management is thinking. Are they really seeing him in their plans for the T20 World Cup, or is this like a last chance for Ashwin, that if he ends up doing well? But my thing is, even if he ends up doing well, are you going to take Ashwin along with, who are the other bowlers that you have? You have Kuldeep Yadav, who I think is fit for this series. There's Ravi Bishnoi. There is Yuzvendra Chahal, of course, going to be there. Akshar Patel, Ravindra Jadeja. What is the thinking behind that, you think?
Given his experience and what he's achieved in Test cricket, amongst the greatest of all time, correct, I think he's been given a chance again in limited overs cricket, and his overall record in limited overs, Meha, is not bad. 61 T20I wickets in 51 matches. His IPL record is also not bad. It's just that he doesn't fit into the definition of a T20 cricketer anymore. He's 35. He's not the fittest. He is not the quickest, in the field. So, R. Ashwin doesn't. He's not like a Jadeja or anyone. So he doesn't. But he is a thinking bowler. He's a clever bowler. His record against left-handers in all formats is excellent. Also, he's an off-spinner. India doesn't have any off-spinner of pedigree after Ashwin. I can't think of any other off-spinner who's in the Indian 11, or in the Indian 15. So therefore, Ashwin has an outside chance if he does exceptionally well. But I have my doubts.
So for all of you wondering why I almost stopped my laugh, is because he's your best spinner in tests, but you don't give him an opportunity.
Test overseas.
Overseas. So that's why I was wondering what the thinking was. But I'm guessing, given that he's now part of this T20I squad, that he will be given the opportunity in these 5 T20Is, at least 3 of them, if not all of them, just to see. I mean, why would you otherwise take him?
Absolutely.
And given that opportunity. The other thing also being, just before I wrap this up, is India's desperate need for finding a left-arm seamer. And I think that's where Arshdeep Singh will be given as many opportunities as they can, because I think they want that variety in their attack, and it does make a difference. We've seen how India struggles against left-arm seamers.
Yes, it does make a difference, and Arshdeep Singh is also someone who's done very well, especially in the death overs.
Yeah.
So Bhuvneshwar Kumar can bowl in the in the power play, and he can bowl out in the power play. Jasprit Bumrah can bowl power play and death both, also sometimes in the middle overs.
Harshal Patel's also there for your death overs.
But Arshdeep Singh, you need for the death over. He's a death over specialist. If he doesn't pick you wickets, doesn't matter. He can control the economy rate. One of the best economy rates in the death overs. Also, recently we saw he's also a very good new ball bowler. So Arshdeep Singh is important. Left armour, death over specialist, Yorker specialist, and he's done well. So, and variety is always good. Although India has right armour.
He got one opportunity, and he was swinging the ball both ways. It was wonderful to watch him.
He should be in the reckoning. He should be in the reckoning. He should be in India's 15 for sure.
Okay. With that, time for us to wrap this show up. But yes, India play West Indies in the first T20I of the 5-match series in Trinidad at the Brian Lara Stadium. But just before we go, at the Commonwealth Games, India are 35 for 1 in 6 overs. Smriti Mandhana, after getting off to a brisk start with a 24 of 17 balls, was dismissed. Shefali Verma, 11 of 13. Yastika Bhatia still to score, but yes, that's where we are. And it'll be important for them now to get some big runs from Shefali Verma and Yastika Bhatia, because Australia are a very, very good side. They've not lost anything in the last 4 years. Every international trophy in the last 4 years belongs to Australia. I mean, it's incredible.
This Australian team is like the men's Australian team of between 96 and 2011.
Correct.
If India win today, India has a serious chance of winning the silver or gold. If India lose today, I think the best bet will be a bronze.
Yeah, because there are 8 teams and divided into 2 groups, and top 2 from each group go into the semi-finals. We get you all the latest from the Commonwealth Games. News9 Sports is what you need to subscribe to. We will be live at 6 with a really good panel. We'll look ahead to the Commonwealth Games, what we can expect from the Indian contingent, all of that at 6, and extensive coverage throughout. News9 Sports, bell notification, bell icon, please press it. That's it from us. Goodbye.